Designing Women continues. Now Chris Connolly with If Looks Could Kill.
Before life as an upscale facialist, Dawn DeLuise, no, not Dom DeLuise, Dawn DeLuise, left the sleepy Florida bayou in hopes of becoming an LA model, nylon and lacing it coquettishly for Fredericks of Hollywood's way risque lingerie catalog, semi-undressed for success. But rather than trying to live on her looks, she studied accounting and figured she ought to live on the looks of others. As an esthetician, she developed a client list alleged to include Jennifer Aniston and Nicki Minaj. Only now she's sporting the latest in jail wear. No one ever said blue is the new black. The 55-year-old DeLuise was now world famous. The elite esthetician arraigned on solicitation of murder charges, facing a possible 9 years in prison. Talk about losing face.
I'm not real familiar with what a facial is, but I imagine it has to do with somehow making your face better. I don't know.
In West Hollywood, by order of the city council, it is illegal to declaw a cat. But what you do to your own body is your business. And theirs.
The beauty industry is extremely competitive.
For cosmetic surgery, for hairstyling, for skincare, for a mani, a pedi, or a Brazilian, celebrities are willing to pay through the nose, and the battle for them is fierce. Ask the man who cut Madonna's hair, and Pamela Anderson's, and John Bon Jovi's.
I open my salon here, you open across the street. You have violated me in a very, very serious way. I would walk across the street and I would say, listen, are you, excuse my French, but are you out of your mind?
Yet law enforcement doesn't get much esthetician on esthetician crime. So when the proprietress of Skin Refinery appears to be at the center of an alleged plot to whack the guy next door, Gabriel Suarez, who runs Smooth Cheeks, it's unusual.
It almost seems surreal.
How surreal? LA County Sheriff's Department is still peeling the mask.
In 18 years, you've never seen anything like this?
No. It starts out with an alleged victim who turns out to be a suspect victim.
And then a witness who, in your mind, turns out to be...
Suspect.
It was a friend of his who asked Detective McCauley if he'd speak to DeLuise, who'd been operating Skin Refinery at this address for years. Among her offerings was something called a galvanic facial, a favorite of her then friend and client, Edward Feinstein.
They put a mask over your face. It's a little bit of a Hannibal Lecter mask. If you saw it, it's a little overwhelming.
Over the years, DeLuise and her business had been talked up in a few glossy magazine beauty roundups and in the tabloids.
Dawn had a public spat with Nicki Minaj. It was all over the news.
When Detective McCauley phoned her, DeLuise said her tires had been slashed recently and that she was being cyber-stalked, harassed online.
There had been Craigslist ads that were posted, solicitations for sexual encounter that listed her address and her phone number.
And did she have any idea who might be responsible?
She believed it was Gabriel Suarez.
Did she feel like he was a competitor and therefore this was why she felt he might be doing such things?
Yes.
It's kind of crazy.
His response was, in general, I don't know her. He came off as very credible to me.
DeLuise seemed aghast that Suarez had moved his business practically next door, even though Suarez had Smooth Cheeks focused on a different end of the skincare game.
I like the name Cheeks because I do a lot of waxing too, and it's kind of double entendre. It has cheeks and, cheeks.
DeLuise thought Feinstein would back her with the cops, but with a prior conviction for identity theft, Feinstein flipped, telling them the cyber-stalking was actually DeLuise's plan to frame Suarez.
She wanted me to pretend to be Gabriel, send her fake texts, post Craigslist ads. She wanted it to seem like she was being stalked, so she could say it was Gabriel.
She asked you to do all these things?
Yes.
He provided me with texts that seemed to indicate that Miss DeLuise had asked him to lie to me.
Dawn, lying to these damn cops to get them to step up. I'm going to tell them Gabriel was in my apartment last night and is now threatening me with bodily harm. But it was another one of Feinstein's texts that would get Dawn DeLuise on page 1 and TMZ and give new meaning to the phrase, if looks could kill. Dawn, I found someone who is going to take Gabriel out. His name is Chris Guiley, and he's an ex-Detroit Lion quarterback. He's on my Facebook page. These photos from a bar in nearby Big Bear suggest that Guiley friended DeLuise on more than just Facebook. But DeLuise's apparent text led cops to get proactive on the facialist.
Miss DeLuise was actively seeking somebody to take care of Gabriel.
When you use the phrase take care of, I have a feeling it doesn't mean to get a nice facial.
Probably not.
The conclusion was that she had solicited a murder of Gabriel Suarez.
Definitely caught me off guard that my life would be in danger for doing skincare.
So the esthetician who had told police she was being cyberstalked found herself going from facial to disgracial in less than a month's time. Arrested on March 5th and charged with solicitation of murder.
Not guilty plea is in it.
Yes, Your Honor.
Chris Guiley hasn't been charged with anything. In a sit-down with KABC, he denied being Dawn's hitman of choice.
I was just totally astonished. There was no services to engage.
At this point, he is more of a witness than he is a suspect.
Edward Feinstein was not so lucky. On March 12th, Feinstein planned to sit down with 2020. While we waited, police came to his home to arrest him. We caught up with him a week later, after his release.
I'm the one that originally told the police when they contacted me about Dawn's ruse. So for me to be named a suspect was just mind-boggling to me.
Police had decided DeLuise had been maliciously stalked by Feinstein. DeLuise's attorney Philip Dubé is confident the case against her will be dismissed.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
For now, the case lies in a mountain of evidence, 220 gigs worth, on Detective McCauley's DeLuise hard drive.
Do you feel confident at this point in your investigation that you know who did what to whom?
No.
I'm so relieved to hear you say that. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen.
It is.
The only ones not laughing are Gabriel Suarez, still trying to imagine why someone might want him exfoliated permanently, and Dawn DeLuise, still sitting in stir after a competitor got under her skin.